several major US cities could go underwater by 2050. And they say just a 1 foot increase in sea levels could lead to a complete disaster. And they say that sea levels could rise as much as 8 feet by 2100. And they also say about 10% of the world's population lives on the coastline. And then also about 30% of the US population lives in cities near the coastline too as well. So some of these major US areas that can be potentially devastated by rising sea levels by 2050 include New York, especially New York City, Miami, Florida, New Orleans, and even Los Angeles. And some experts say that cities such as Venice, Santa Monica, and even Long Beach could be underwater by 2050. And even some experts say that over $9 billion worth of existing property within these areas of SoCal could be underwater by 2050 too as well. So definitely some shocking statistics and numbers about the devastating impacts of future rising sea levels. And then another concept that a lot of people aren't really familiar with too as well is a concept called underground climate change. So, with a lot of these densely populated cities, such as New York City, what happens is that a lot of the heat gets released from the buildings and from the transportation system. And once all of this heat gets released from our infrastructure, basically it seeps down into the ground. And what you have going on is that you have a lot of heat that gets trapped under these major cities. And once you have all of this heat, basically it changes the morphology of the rocks, the soil, and the construction material. So basically, all of this material underground gets deformed. And what happens as a consequence is that our cities are sinking. So a lot of our major cities are sinking due to the fact that we have underground climate change and heat morphing the rocks, the soil, and the construction materials. So, definitely a deadly slew of potential consequences due to increasing global temperatures. So, and then another perspective that a lot of people fail to consider too is that not only do we have rising sea levels and sinking cities, but there's a whole lot of devastation going on with our coral reefs. And coral reefs are not only important for the ecosystem and the wildlife, but they're just as important to society too as well, because a lot of people don't realize how important coral reefs are from protecting coastlines from rogue storms and rising sea levels. So basically, what's going on is that we've had the worst coral bleaching event within 2023 in the Northern Hemisphere. So in 2023, the Northern Hemisphere has never seen coral bleaching so bad. And it's also expected to as well as that the Southern Hemisphere will have the worst coral bleaching event in 2024. So definitely some shocking statistics. And there is a whole lot of innovation and mitigation being done to potentially save our coral reefs, such as building artificial reefs and then, of course, hybrid reefs too, as well. And then, on top of all of this, not only do we have an increase in sea levels, sinking cities due to underground climate change, and of course, the destruction of our coral reefs due to bleaching. And what happens is that the reefs, once they become stressed due to increasing sea levels, they expel all of their algae. And that's one of the reasons why they turn white and brittle and basically, kind of just perish off. And then on top of all of this, there's another threat too that a lot of people fail to consider too as well, and that's widespread of these vector-borne diseases. So, once you have an increase of temperatures, this basically extends the territory and life cycle of these insects that carry these deadly diseases, such as Lyme disease and malaria. So, basically, these increasing temperatures are expanding the range of mosquitoes and ticks and so forth. So, what a slew of devastating impacts to consider from climate change, whether it's man made or due to a natural cycle. So, it's going to be very interesting to see what type of mitigation can be done. But there has to be more infrastructure updates to prevent these climate catastrophes, such as building seawalls and other solutions. So, definitely a very interesting set of updates in regards to the climate change that's going on in today's world. But thank you so much for listening to the one and only Twilight Mysteries. Thank you.